Caught clapping.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, no.
I know, it's very bad because we actually have to do our own clapping and the guests have to do their own camera work. Welcome to Flint TV. Thanks so much to Musos Australia. Hope you've learned all about drumming. And we won't do any jokes about 16ths or how stupid drummers are because obviously they're very intelligent. This is Squeal. And we have we've got a very varied panel tonight. We've got lots of long hair and...
we do.
Lots of short hair.
We've got it all on this show. In fact, to my left we have Miss Penelope. We're not getting the full glory of the costume because your leg hair is
Which is
delightful.
probably just as fortunate, really, considering what's underneath.
Well, we'll be looking at that in the later segment. If we get short of material. Mr. Peter O'Grady, welcome.
Nothing interesting to say about me, is there?
No, there isn't. Rhea. Oh. Well, we don't have to say anything about Rhea because she looks so bad boy to sexual.
Yeah.
And the gorgeous Luke Gallagher who does his own clapping. Well, it's been a great week for relationships and reconciliations, all this sort of people.
Bumper week.
All the sort of people you wouldn't expect to be getting back together have done so, haven't they?
I mean, we've sort of hoped wouldn't, really.
Yeah, well, Jerry's moved back in with Mick. Which is, can you believe she's gone back to him?
Well, I thought he actually moved back in with her.
Well, because she had the house.
She had the house.
Yeah, from the divorce.
So he was tired of the hotel room, obviously.
Have we worked out whether he threw himself on her mercy or she just...
Have we heard any more?
I don't know. What does it say here?
What's the little thing say? What does it indicate?
Just says everyone is happy with the arrangement, especially the children. It was for the children.
Yes.
Ah, so maybe he's living in the left wing or something.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Or under the east wing.
Because, I mean, he's not very nice, is he? He's not, I mean... Oh, he's lovely, really, but, you know, I mean, he's a bit of a philanderer. That's the word I'm looking for. How many women does he have to see for Jerry to get the message?
He obviously needs to see Sarah, Jerry and his daughter.
He rang me.
Did he?
He rang me. I said no.
You put your foot down.
I did. I said, get Jerry to call me. Fine. You? I don't think so. Look, this man looks like a chicken.
It does. It's really frightening.
It's not a good one.
I've seen better looking chickens than that.
You will, exactly.
Has he got a girlfriend?
Yes.
That's
and another baby?
Yeah, she's pregnant.
Oh, my God.
He had a fling behind Jerry's back. And
But the one who just had the baby is now pregnant with another baby.
That's right.
Or it's another girl.
another girl.
Is this what, the ex or Jerry or who?
Well, nobody can keep up. I think he just goes home in between to sort of get his sperm count up. I mean, because he's getting older, he obviously doesn't need the distraction, because apparently if you haven't had sex for a long time, you're much more likely to impregnate. So a little bit of information we may or may not have
Probably
needed.
because there's build-up.
So saying that means that Sarah Ferguson, our dear Fergie, may well get pregnant.
Well, that has been the biggest thing about Fergie and Andrew is that everyone's been saying, oh, look, they're going to get back together, because she keeps making noises, doesn't she?
She does.
She does.
I wish she'd bloody shut up.
She's actually just said now that she and Prince Andrew are the happiest divorced couple in the world.
Oh, how does she know
and, well, I don't know.
I'm sorry.
She's the Duchess, so she must know something. She's got a Weight Watchers ad, so she must know something.
You're right, you're right.
Okay.
But that's the question.
But, you know, obviously, I think that she's hedging her bets. I think they're both hedging their bets. Like, well, if we can't find anything better, then we can always get back together again. It'll be lovely, and everyone will love us again. And she's turning 40, so that's a bit of a bit of a special age.
And she knows that, you know, if she keeps on saying every now and again, oh look, I think Andy and I have a chance of getting in together, she'll, you know, get on another cover of a new idea or something. She's got it.
I think this is a classic case of somebody not being able to move forward. Because she's just got one foot stuck
a
back in that
treadmill
royal
there.
residence, going
does.
just in case. But on the way up, I'll do all these other things. I don't think it's very fair, and I don't think it's very
Her
practical.
theory is the only reason that she got divorced, never mind the affairs and whatnot, was because she had debts. The royal family wouldn't pay them, therefore she had to work. And she couldn't work as the prince, whatever prince he is.
Duchess.
No, but he
was
a
a
prince.
prince.
You couldn't be the wife of
Andrew's
the
wife.
second in line and work. So they wouldn't pay it, so she had to divorce him to work now. If you believe that?
You believe anything?
You'd believe one of her children's storybooks. There's been another reconciliation. Well, it's rumoured that, I'm going to say this, Greg Domatovich, is that right?
That was very good.
Well done.
Oh, yes.
Is back with Linda. Is it Linda?
By Linda.
Bye, Linda, thank you.
Bye, Linda.
Belinda. Belinda, by Linda, you can say.
Now,
Made
where
it
did
so
this rumour start that they were actually going to get back? Has she been
You,
saying
didn't it?
No, I did not actually say that. I did not actually say that. What I did say was that I think most people are aware that Belinda is now saying that she doesn't believe that Greg was the murderer of her child.
Right.
I don't think there's any real danger that they'll get back together again, but one never knows. They were seeing clubbing in Paran after the book.
Surely not. Shock
No,
horror.
but this begs the question, which club?
Yeah.
Who had them?
Would anyone admit to it?
Can anyone...
People rush up and say, can you sign this book for
Yes.
me? Look at him.
Just
He's
bought
so
your
attractive.
He is.
Well, you've got it. Was it you who had the story about the book
a
deal?
little bird. My contacts, my very special contacts, said that Greg D is not actually a very pleasant person and got into a bit of a tears over not being able to have a couple of free books. And I can perfectly understand that.
He went to all that trouble to create the story in the first place, really.
You would think he would need the books.
Well, he can't read them.
You probably did actually.
Oh no, that's your opinion then, really.
That's right.
Never say that.
Mind
Highly
you,
intelligent man.
I understand if you did say what happened to the pictures.
Well, so my thoughts are actually he's probably actually got the book put together so that somebody can actually have an account that actually is consistent, so that they can always go back to the book and work out what exactly everyone was saying.
It got
So
very
that
messy.
they're
didn't it?
keeping the story together and they're all telling the same story. Put it
And
that way.
there'll be a sequel.
Absolutely.
We're not going there, but talking about books and gay interest, you've got a bit of a story, haven't
I've
you?
got a very exciting story that we saw this week in Melbourne's fabulous Herald Sun. It is a story that comes from a new, I don't know whether it was a new book, but it's by a man named Joachim Fest, who has written a biography of a man named Albert Speer, who designed the Nuremberg Stadium in Germany, but he also designed many other things around the time of World War II, and he happened to be a close associate with Mr. Adolf Hitler. Now, in this book, he goes on to say that he thinks that Hitler was a closet gay man.
Oh, no.
Who had a crush on one of his ministers. And he had many other crushes, it seems, and one of them was on Albert Speer. Now, the pair had a homoerotic, now I like the way they don't say homosexual, it's a homoerotic relationship. What, Albert stood there and...
Well,
Waved his
We can
doodah
just,
around him.
and Adolf's just thinking, whoa, you're a bit of all right.
Horrible thought.
They had a homoerotic relationship, blah, blah, blah. And then it seems that they spent hours in each other's company studying building plans, but Speer didn't return his leader's affection. Fest said he was the dominant person in the relationship, and it was Hitler that was the loser, because of course Hitler then killed himself in 1945.
Oh, what, because Albert wouldn't go off with him?
That's right.
that's
Probably
what it
Albert
was.
wasn't interested, because Hitler was known for having halitosis, wasn't he, apart from other things?
Well, there's another thing.
Or
to
maybe
add
that
to,
Mo tickled him.
But he liked a bit of the mo on the top.
I like the sound of that, Albert and Adolf. It could be the
A&A.
title of a new musical.
Yes.
Could be a new Hollywood
Albert and
sitcom.
Adolf. Oh,
A&A.
fabulous idea.
Albert and Adolf.
Oh, yes.
Wow. Drama.
Well, while Hitler did his best to actually bring down the population of the world, it was
Yes,
very
he gave it.
Did it work, did it?
it didn't work because we've got billions of them now, haven't we?
We have 6 billion people now in the world, and it only took 12 years to get from 5 billion to 6 billion. That is
Wow. That's a lot of
actually kind of
overtime.
scary. Although Salman Rushdie has blamed that on who's he blamed on the Israeli people?
Islam.
Islam, which is like.
Why? Why is he blamed on
Okay,
Islam?
why is he blaming? He's
You're going to make him read that
basically
again, aren't you?
He's saying he's accusing leaders of that religion of waging war on their own people by banning birth control while overlooking the Pope's stance against contraception. Now, I mean, Salman Rushdie is barking up a pretty dangerous tree because he's already got half of
You'd think he'd be a little bit careful about what he was saying.
Yeah,
just a tad, because he's just gotten over not having the death sentence on him anymore.
Yeah.
And you think he'd maybe breathe a sigh of relief and go, maybe I just won't be making any controversial statements at the moment.
Maybe you get addicted to
I
it.
reckon he's out there trying to make as many as he can.
He's addicted to danger, isn't he?
Anything can happen.
He's got another book coming out, I'm sure.
Yes. PR chance, bang, off he goes.
Maybe he's got a penchant for security guards or something. You know? That was the only way that he could get them to come around.
Maybe he should write the musical on Adolf and Albert.
Adolf and Albert.
See, you've got the songs happening.
I'm there. Adolf and
They roll
Albert
off the
sat
tongue,
in
don't
a
they?
pub. No, that's right.
Oh, come on.
Didn't know you had such talent.
Yes.
A big consortium. Can we call them a consortium without getting into trouble? It's been in the news in the last couple of days.
I'm sure we can, without mentioning any names.
No.
I happened to be around town today when this was handed to me about the way that people are looking after animals and the way that the food is going. And it's quite scary, actually, the way that animals are being kept and how we're supposed to be eating the food that's supposed to be good for us. So
I think isn't that question?
doesn't it look lovely?
What exactly is that?
That's supposed to be a pig.
Oh, it probably was once a pig.
Yeah, it was.
Covers that. Just
You don't necessarily
We're not
need to say
mentioning
who it
any
is.
names of types of restaurants.
So, yeah, so very lovely. So that's something we can look forward
Something
to.
we were talking about earlier, I think it's important that we bring this up, is that there's a certain group obviously targeting certain
Companies,
organisation, saying that this is what they do, they don't treat animals correctly, and then when we go to eat food, what we're really doing is condoning that sort of cruelty. But one has to ask oneself, occasionally,
One often does.
how much of it could be sensationalism when you target a major company. Is it just because you know you can get lots of publicity? Whereas if we were targeting, you know, Joe's local milk bar down the street, which is making hamburgers and you know, frying up eggs, are we really getting upset about Joe not using, you know, battery-free, free-range eggs and sort of, you know, organic meat and all that sort of thing?
I guess what they're probably coming out to is the fact that some of these big conglomerates, we won't mention any names here,
C word.
will actually have the C word, so it's good. They have sort of lots of these little milk bars, if you like, or little eateries on every corner.
They do.
They're all around the world, and there's thousands upon thousands per day being sort of channeled through there, so maybe that's it.
Well, we'll carry on this very interesting debate about should we all be vegetarians. Anyway, we'll be back with John Fowler from 8 in probably about 2 minutes. Don't go out and have a hamburger, though. No, we're still going. Keep dancing.
I like that little dumpling.
Welcome back to Squeal. I hope you enjoyed the hamburger in the break there. We've got a very special guest join us here. It's John Fowler. Welcome. It's lovely. You get a round of applause just for turning up here. It's lovely. John, you're from, I'm going to try and get this right now, the Church and AIDS, Church, AIDS and Pastoral Education.
Well, let's call it CAPE.
Okay.
Churches, AIDS and Pastoral Education.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
And are you the founding member? What's your position there?
No, I'm just a member of a committee, or actually I'm the president of the group. It's a combine of a group of churches set up about 10 years ago when it was realised that there were people in churches who thought that AIDS was an issue for people outside the church, and all of a sudden there were people in churches getting ill, and all of a sudden parents in churches had to face the fact that, oh, I've got a son who's not only ill but he's dying, and he's got that dreadful disease called AIDS, and lots of people in churches couldn't cope with that.
Did you find quite a lot of resistance from the church itself in setting up the group?
Yes, there was. But fortunately, and there's about 10 churches involved in the 10 denominations involved, and fortunately the churches were able to appoint or asked for volunteers who sort of were very sympathetic and were prepared to work together. And as a group, I think we have worked together very ecumenically, and certainly lots of things that people wouldn't think would happen when you got so many denominations working together. That CAPE actually came up with a pretty good philosophy of non-discrimination, and where care was tantamount, and where the aim was to provide quality care for people, support for families, so that people didn't feel they were being discriminated against, and so that particularly those people who were diagnosed and needed the care were able to get it in a way that was non-discriminatory.
But being that it is still been labelled, and particularly then, a gay disease, how did the church sort of come to terms with the fact that obviously what they were saying is that basically they were caring for gay people on the whole?
Well, so
gay people that were in their church that kind of weren't supposed to be.
Yes, well, I guess that was one of the big issues that probably made the churches realise for the first time that although a lot of Christian churches would say that homosexuality and Christianity are not compatible, that in spite of that, that the reality of the fact that probably most 10% of church congregations or 10% of the membership of most churches are probably gay anyway, and therefore the potential for people who are HIV positive or gay within the churches is there, and I think it really made them think about it. And I think we've seen that some churches, particularly the Baptist Church and particularly the Uniting Church, have actually had reports on sexuality in general, and sort of trying to come to grips with some of the realities of sexuality. And I think one of the things that CAPE has said, CAPE's got a part of its platform says that we acknowledge that sexuality is fundamental to human life, and that sexuality is important, and if a person is to be whole as a person, that sexuality has got to be accepted. And these various groups of churches involved, I think as a result of that, have sort of taken the message away and it's being thought about. But there are still, in lots of Christian churches, severe resistance to homosexuality.
I'm amazed, like I said, Peter was as well, that you've got 10 denominations within. Can you, I mean, are we able to list two?
Well, I'll try and list them all, and I don't want to offend anybody by missing them out, but there is the Baptist, there's Church of Christ, there's New Wave Christian Fellowship, there's Metropolitan Community Church, there's the Uniting Church, there's the Lutheran Church, there's the Catholic Church, there's the Anglican Church. Now, I don't know how many that is. Oh, and the Salvation Army were also involved.
It's quite extraordinary. And do you know what struck me as you were saying this? I just made a little note here that situations like this, the terribleness of the HIV and the AIDS situation affecting so many people, it actually does bring people together, and it actually tests the fundamental belief of the Christian doctrine. Which I think, you know, you've got to look at it, well, there is one good thing that's come out of something so awful, that it has made people in any situation, but especially in the church, go, okay, now we get to test our principles, now we get to say, do we really practice what we preach? And that's tolerance and love and forgiveness and acceptance of something that you don't normally want to accept as perhaps being normal in your own little world.
Well, I certainly believe that CAPE has been able to identify groups of people in all of the denominations I've mentioned who are open, acceptive and supportive, and CAPE is saying that, you know, we need to be supportive of people who are HIV positive or who have AIDS, regardless of their sexual orientation and regardless of the means of transmission.
So are you, are you finding that people living with AIDS were actually actively excluded from the church if they, from their particular church?
In some cases, yes, and it was also very difficult for some parents. Some parents who all of a sudden were hit with the fact that, oh, not only have I got a gay son, but I also have a son who is HIV positive and who has AIDS, and how am I going to cope with this? And it's quite interesting that initially some of the parents who had sons coming home and saying, look, Mum, Dad, I'm gay, I've got AIDS, I'm going to die, will you look after me? Those parents went off to their local minister, their local priest and that sort of thing. And it was the parents who in lots of cases were actually stronger and able to cope with it better than the priests and the ministers, because they hadn't confronted that. It doesn't happen in our churches.
And even if it's not actually a member of the congregation, if that person's parents are affected, they go to their church for solace, for comfort, for guidance. If they can't get
it's
it,
an unforgiving
what is the
situation,
point of having it there?
Yeah, and how do they feel?
Absolutely.
You know, not getting it there.
So that's why CAPE sort of has organised a lot of training sessions and lots of seminars for churches and church groups. And I guess we've tried to focus in the last couple of years in country areas, because there is still the notion that AIDS is a city disease and AIDS is not a country disease.
Everyone likes to isolate it, don't they? Oh, no, it's
We
their
don't have
disease. We don't have it, it's theirs, it's theirs.
Well, of course, now there's sort of also the belief that sort of AIDS is over, AIDS doesn't matter, AIDS is a manageable disease.
And how's it going? I mean, how in tune are you with the situation with AIDS? You know, you can sort of tell us, has it changed? Is it less of a homosexual disease? What's happened in the last 10 years?
The statistics show very, very clearly that I think about 10 years ago we were saying that about 95 to 97% of cases of infection with HIV were in gay men. Now the figure is down into the 70%, and there's an increasing number of both heterosexual men and, more disturbingly, an increasing number of women who are testing as being HIV positive.
You're right, that is disturbing, and it's sort of, you almost think, oh, well, it's good that the statistics have changed, and then you think, wait a minute, what am I saying?
Yes, exactly.
We don't want any statistics, but they are there, that is the reality of the situation.
Well, I'd say that's even a bigger issue in the churches. The churches are probably more reluctant to recognise the fact that an increasing number of heterosexuals are becoming HIV positive, and to a degree they're resisting that, I think, more than resisting the fact that HIV is the so-called gay disease, and a lot of churches were able to accept the fact, okay, it is a gay man's disease, okay, well, we need to be loving and caring and compassionate, but now when it's coming into heterosexuals and an increasing number of women, they're not quite sure how to cope with that.
I think that, I mean, what we can hope is perhaps the message of safe sex with homosexuals has got through in some ways, but I think that well, we'll talk about it a little bit in a minute, I think. But we've got some footage courtesy of Scar TV about safe sex, I think, coming up any moment. And Scar TV are the people who do the Access News show. So let's have a look at this, and then we'll have a bit of a discussion, I think, afterwards.
Yeah, good idea.
Fabulous.
Typical, as soon as the naked women come on, they take it off.
Oh, I can get naked if you like.
Come on, Penelope, off you go.
We'll save that for the last segment. When I've eaten. But I'm just traditionally awful. It doesn't mean anything.
Don't take offence.
That was a fantastic piece put together by Scar TV for nightclubs to reach a younger audience, because I think the problem may have been that safe sex was a big issue when AIDS first hit, but whether it's whether it's still being advocated and whether people are still practicing and young people.
Not as much.
You think not?
I think the emphasis has certainly gone off the initial let's hit everybody hard with a very big advertising campaign to make them aware. The awareness still needs to be there, it is there, but you know, it's become less immediate.
Yeah.
It's also, I think we were talking about it before we began, John was saying that the immediate, like people tend to think that yes, the worst is over. And with the, obviously so many treatments being around today, people tend to think, well, it is a treatable disease. It's something that you can actually control. I mean, like a heart, heart disease, something like that, by eating properly.
Anybody who's had any contact with people who are HIV positive and the disease is progressing and they're on a big regimen of medication, most of them have got fairly unpleasant lives. They're either sick all the time because of nausea or the other side effects of the medication. So although some people think the disease is controllable, it may be controllable in terms of extending a person's life. But I think the other thing is that there's also a fair degree of evidence, I think recently published by the Victorian AIDS Council, which says that in excess of 90% of people who are HIV positive are living on social security benefits.
So the quality of life is
may
be diminished.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we're off to a break now. Thanks so much, John, for coming on from Cape. So if you want to contact John, how do they do it? Quickly.
Look up Cape's telephone number in the phone book.
Fantastic. We'll see you back very shortly.
Miss Penelope was doing some...
It was an earthquake moment.
She's on the go the whole time, Miss Penelope.
Oh, she's a go-getter.
It is a trauma. Trauma.
I need a psychologist now.
You need a psychologist.
Well, it just so happens that we've got one for you. We have very jolly Robert Morris.
Oh, we've gone back.
Robert Morris?
Hang on, did I say clap?
No.
Robert Drummond. You got the wrong name.
From the Drummond Street Relationship Centre.
That's right.
That's the one.
The Relationship Centre.
So are you a counsellor, a psychologist? What are you?
All those things.
Are you?
I'm a counsellor. I'm known as a child and family counsellor.
Right.
And I'm a psychologist, counselling psychologist as well.
So what would make you want to go into that sort of profession?
Well, I think it's a very interesting question because you go into a job like this because you really believe that the process works. And
as opposed to now when
you sound like there's a bat coming.
that's the thing. You see, I mean, I would suggest we've had some examples this evening in the first segment of successful people who have got back together again.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that every couple comes and gets back together again, but I would say they had jolly good counselling.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You think that's what it is?
Oh, well, I would think... I can't actually say, of course. But how did I get into it?
Yes.
It was a bit of a story. I had a midlife crisis, you know.
No.
Oh, yes. It's a terrible business. Yes, they do.
I'm due for mine in a second.
Go on.
Anyway.
Stop interrupting.
Anyway, it took me out of being a worker into being a student, and I went to university. I went to Swinburne, and in my last year at Swinburne, I was living in a flat, and it had just changed hands, this whole block of flats, and they started the pneumatic drills next to my bedroom at 7:30 in the morning. And at 8:30 in the morning, the owner used to roll up in his big roller, and he would get
Like steamroller? What sort of roller?
A Rolls Royce.
Oh, I see.
Right. And I'd think that car alone is worth more than I'll ever have in my lifetime. And I got madder and madder, and I had net curtains, and I used to look, and I think, this man doesn't deserve to live. And I'm really thinking, I can't go on like this. I'm beginning to crack up. And in actual
Do you know what?
fact...
We've actually got Roald Dahl here. We're going for this. So what happened?
Anyway, so of course I went to the student counsellor at Swinburne, and she was marvellous because it was in the days when you could smoke and sit in bean bags and things.
And read the...
She said... she drank a lot of black coffee, and she said, "It sounds as though you're impotent." And I thought, good heavens, I am. I feel it. I feel I couldn't do anything about my situation. Anyway, point is, we then went into problem solving. And I walked out an hour and a half later thinking, my goodness, that was effective. Effective counselling.
So problem solving sounds to be like something that would be a key issue in effective counselling. That's what you found. Is that
You can't be that good at it, is what I was thinking, if you had to go to this other person to find that out.
Oh, but I wasn't a counsellor. This is before I was a counsellor.
Okay.
Hello, who are you, Gillian?
Sorry.
And after that, of course, I changed my course.
Right.
And did a counselling degree.
So now you're a relationship counsellor.
Indeed, I am a relationship
We
counsellor.
all know where to go then.
So, what then is the difference? Hi, I'm Beth. I knew the camera was going to be right on me. What is the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist?
Ah, well, a psychiatrist is a doctor first and foremost.
Right.
And, of course, they would see people, and they deal with, you know, the more complex mental problems. But they would see people and they would look at them in terms of what sort of drugs would be suitable to modify this behaviour. However, I must say that there are counselling psychiatrists who also talk. They use talk therapy. Yeah. While as a psychologist can't prescribe drugs. And we use talk therapy.
All the time?
All the time.
And it's a much better therapy anyway, really. Well,
it's slow, but it's effective.
Yeah.
So do you have two? So with relationship counselling, you have both people, both screwed up people in there. Do you?
She's so caring and
Yes, and I like the non-judgmentality of it.
objectivity.
That's right. But yes, that's quite right. Of course, you do have them together, and they tell their story, and the other one tells their story as well. And of course, my job is to be neutral and try to understand both sides of the story. And it isn't always easy. Yeah. And it's particularly interesting. I have about a third of my clients are gay or lesbian couples.
You think that's because we have more trouble with relationships? Or they just like you?
No, I don't think it's anything to do with me per se. I think it's a lot to do with the agency offering. The place that I work is government funded. And
what is it?
It is.
Write down the number. Pens at the ready, panel.
So, can I ask, what sort of issues, are there more particular issues between gay and lesbian couples than, say, heterosexual couples? Are all the issues really the same? Does everybody have the same issues?
That's a good question because, generally speaking, the issues aren't dissimilar at all. There might be some specific issues, like coming out, for example.
Okay, yes.
Is sometimes a huge issue. Internalised homophobia is another one, which is huge and difficult to deal with. And yet people get surprised, actually. If I were to mention to them, I think it sounds as though you might have a bit of internalised homophobia. They go, what? What?
And this is usually to gay...
To gay.
Yes. And I mean, they've heard of other people being homophobic, but they never think of themselves as being homophobic.
Well, especially if you're gay,
But then exactly,
you weren't
Well, that's
could
right.
possibly be capable of being homophobic.
Well, you would think not.
But obviously...
But
But there are lots of examples, and you know, one might be not coming out, or to the people at work, or not wanting to be seen with your partner in certain situations. You know, all those sorts of things.
Is that more... See, I mean, my question to that would be, is that homophobia or is that fear? Fear of being attacked or being ridiculed, or are the two mixed? Or the two...
Ah, well, that's exactly right. You see, you've identified the feeling.
I should be a psychologist.
You see, fear is the underlying thing.
I have to ask you about lesbians in particular, if you don't mind. Not myself, of course, but somebody I know.
A friend.
Yes, I heard about.
I just think that women, you know, the beauty of heterosexual relationships for me is that men and women don't know each other that well, so there's always that barrier. You don't know what he's thinking when he walks through the door. Really, quite frankly, you don't care that much, probably. Although I'm saying that about me, we all know I'm not very caring necessarily. But women, like, you kind of walk in, your girlfriend walks in, you know what she's thinking, and you're having a go at her for what she's thinking. Do you find that lesbians are actually quite fiery and argue a lot and need relationship counselling?
I think it's called empathy.
Okay.
You know, women are possibly much more empathic than men. But there you might be talking about something else altogether.
Oh, I could.
You might be talking about projecting your stuff onto your girlfriend.
Well, not me.
Oh, no,
Her friends. But then does that work, like, you know, gay men have the whole thing that we're supposed to be more emotionally open than straight men, but I mean, is that the case, do you find? Or are we just as closed off as everyone else?
Necessarily.
Because I know I'm extremely closed off, but yeah, I mean...
No. I think, you know, you can't make generalisations about these things, really.
No, but it's hard not to, because sometimes you feel you can, with a qualification. You can say, well, all gay men are much more sensitive than straight men. However, yes, except for him. He's not. He's totally insensitive. But it is sort of interesting, the whole gay issue of gay women, gay men, are they more open than heterosexual men and women?
Because there is this
a
perception that
possibility?
there are,
Yeah, there is a perception.
Do you mean open emotionally?
Emotionally. And could that possibly be because of the dealing with the sexuality issue, which most of us have to do at a very young age, and in very trying circumstances, it forces us into being a little bit more open.
I think it could. Or could it be because the two same sex, we're normally with heterosexuals, it's a male and female, we're here, it's two males, two females.
Two similar dynamics.
Yeah, so it could be
Well,
like...
that's right, I think that's right. The energies, you've got a double dose of female energy, you've got a double dose of male energy, and of course, in that, you have a great more understanding, as you pointed
But
out.
I also think that with any counselling, with anyone's problems, it's very much a personal thing anyway. Like, stuff that you've been carrying with you since childhood, or be it the way you've been brought up, or where you've been to school, any number of things. I think those types of things influence who you are, regardless of whether you're with a man or a woman. Within a relationship, that will always have a lot of the, you know, the pulling, you know, push and pull thing. I knew there was a word there. That has a lot to do with that too. And I think that's a universal thing, like you were saying before.
Yeah. But I do think that in a survey, a recent survey, they were studying arguments, and there were heterosexual couples, there were males alone, and there were females alone, lesbian couples, homosexual, gay couples, and the lesbians were seen to argue through the points better than anyone else. They're more prepared to sit down and actually think. But that, again, is a huge generalisation.
How do you go on confidentiality?
Oh, it's a good question. We don't ever talk about cases outside.
Okay.
No.
On that point, if you were to, say, run into someone, I'm getting back to the script now.
Oh, that's right.
I've got a script. I need a script. You know?
But some of us rather to make it sound a little less like a
You don't have to tell them.
Now, if, say, I was one of your clients and I ran into you at the supermarket or the shopping centre or something, say I was, it could be a number, is it? Do you acknowledge me?
Yes. Years ago, I might not have. You see, it's a boundary issue. And I used to feel awkward about it. But these days, I'd say, g'day.
You know, so you don't try to say, hey, go with your impetus.
For doing your homework since last session. But do you ever have a situation where somebody may not know, like a partner may not know? I guess you're in a relationship thing anyway. So
Do you just see one person?
I do. I see
Individual
single
clients?
individuals. Yes.
Oh, this is much too interesting to finish. We're going to have a bit of a wind up. We'll carry on in the break. Come back. We've got loads more stuff. Thanks so much, Robert.
thank you, Robert.
Oh, yeah, you gotta go.
Welcome back to Squeal. In fact, we're carrying on the mad theme, well, mad psychology, etc. Padded cell look at the front
Yes, it is
here.
a padded cell look, isn't it?
I just want to say thank you so much to everybody that came to our party and fundraiser last night. We had a fantastic time, and if you're up watching this, then obviously you weren't out late enough. So that's basically up in Bent TV. We're still looking for volunteers, just to say that you don't have to come once a month now. We can have you specially treated. You just ring up, and our number is...
9663.
Yes, you just say it.
Okay, it's 96635902. That's 9663. I want to get Pete Smith's job. 96635902.
You have to be constipated to do Pete.
Oh, I won't go there. He's done a new ad, some ad for Power Lines, and it's such an excruciating watch. You're watching the whole time, think, God, Pete, just relax, or
No, it's
something, take a deep breath. Oh,
It's a style, isn't it?
I'm going to kick off the promo thing
Go
here,
for
if I may, Gillian. This is, what have I got? I've got postcards left, right and centre. This is a postcard that you may have seen around cafes and things in Melbourne, all over the place. It's for a show called, it's actually a double bill, called Judy Garland Slept Here, and Full Frontal Male Nudity. Now, let's have a guess which niche market they're going for. If you've seen the postcard, you'll see there's a lovely, young, attractive man with a ruby slipper sitting in his private bits. So there, more clues on the old niche market. Anyway, look, they open this Saturday, the 30th of November. Oh, what is it? No, 30th of October. I can't even speak. Through to Sunday, 21st of October. No. I'll start again, shall I? Anyway, they're going through to the 21st of November. They're on Tuesday to Saturdays, chapel off chapel, but the most exciting thing is one of their performances, which is the Sunday evening this coming week, the 31st of October, is a benefit for the Victorian AIDS Council. Well, tickets are $40 a head, and you get a fabulous show, and I think you get supper as well, don't you?
Value.
Something like that. And it's all chapel off chapel in Prahran, and it's Sunday at 8 p.m, I think. Let's guess, shall we? Yes, 8 p.m, all performances. So please get on there. Call the VAC if you want further information, because it's for a worthy cause.
Okay, well, another worthy cause while you're on it, Luke. The shameless plug.
I know, I'm the shameless plugger of all. I have indeed. We start taping the next season of Hell Bent this coming week, which we're very excited about. There's lots of wonderful stuff coming along. But if you've seen the show, you'll know that lots of things are needed to keep the show happening. We're actually looking for more musical acts. So if you have a musical act or a band, and you don't require lots and lots of resources, because we don't have any money here, folks.
No flowers or caravans.
Yeah, exactly. We would love to have you on Hellbent, and we'd love to maybe get a demo tape and something to listen to. So please phone us here at Bent TV, 96635902. The number one more time, that's 96635902. On that as well, you can email us as well. I'm also looking, because we're trying to update the old set for Hellbent, and Bar 44 have kindly donated one of their couches for our main host set.
I'll give you a... Oh, right.
And I'm looking for a couch for our Hellbent set, because we've got to update, and we don't have any money here. We are a community organisation with absolutely no funds. So if you would like to donate a couch, and I think Gillian's just had something, an idea pop into her head, so I'll be chasing that later. Please give us a call here, 96635902. If you can get it to us, even better, because we don't have trucks either.
We don't have anything.
My goodness.
Okay, I'm done.
Mr. Infomercial. Watch out. Well, one of our guests has sadly departed, not of this life, just of the show. And in commiseration of the fact, for our absent friends, we've actually got a bit of, we like to say footage on this show as much as possible. Footage of Miss Penelope.
Oh, very good. You're going to say something then, aren't you?
Doing her thing. So take it away, Miss Penelope.
This is on Hellbent, by the way.
Is it? Surely not.
nose, a vial of speed being stuffed up my nose. When the dogs bite, when the chain's tight, when you pull my hair, I like to watch as you gyrate your crutch in my home Girls in white leather with long black eyelashes, swish goes the whip as I give them 9 lashes. Watching Bert's backyard while masturbating, these are a few of my favorite things. Vibrators hum in my hand and I'm turned on.
That was marvellous.
That was on Hellbent.
That's great. If I'd known that she could have done that, I might have taken her up on her earlier offer. Now we want to talk to Rhea because we haven't spoken to you very much, and a couple of issues that are pretty close to your heart, and we've been a bit on of an issue week, which I think has been great. It's sort of we've upped the tone, haven't we? Ready in time to just drop it next week. But Rhea, you've been having a bit of trouble finding a job. Is that right?
That's correct. I found with in society they're willing to accept transgender for party and all that, but when it comes to employment, it's been a bit hard. There's certain groups that will help cross-dressers, that will help certain like sex changes and all that, but as for transgender, there seems to be a big issue where there's just no help there. And I've heard of, apart from myself, other people applying for like 7-8 months for jobs and
not getting a look in.
Not getting a look in. And, you know, it's really sad when there's people who have got qualifications to do this sort of work.
What sort of employment have you been looking for? And what
Well, right across the board, from you know, working in shops to waitressing to everything, yeah. You know, there's one certain person I know that's been applying for 5 months, 60 different jobs, 12 interviews, great qualifications, but no one's interested.
Can't get a look in.
No, so it's, you know, it's just pretty sad for our society to, you know, can see us as the party people, but not to employ
More than
us.
happy to have you as a hostess.
Oh, yes, yes.
But nothing else.
Yes, never the bride.
No.
So is it that there aren't support groups, as you're saying? You know,
Yeah, there's no support groups. I have tried for myself the last 7 months. And yeah, all I've been doing is phone to phone to phone. There's just been pushed from one place to the next, and so yeah.
At what point when do they find out that you're transgender? Like,
Well, as far as with myself, as far as I've got to, is the phone calls, and that's been about it.
Oh, really?
You know, not even the interviews and all that.
Wow.
So they know you're called Rhea, and they hear a deep voice, and they just think, well, we won't get her in.
Yeah, so, you know, and that's just with me, so I don't know how many others transgenders out there are having the same problem.
Yeah.
But it isn't one that I've thought of, to be honest. I mean, there's so many, you know, if you're a woman instead of a man, you don't get the situation. Certainly in London a few years ago, if you were trying to work in the legal profession and you were black and people could tell you were black because of your accent on the phone, you wouldn't have even been, you could never say that, but suddenly the job would be gone. You wouldn't be invited in because they could tell you were black, you weren't going to get the job. But, it's great in the way that you've highlighted that problem, and obviously there's a need for support and enlightenment.
An incident just not long ago, I went for my licence, actually, and...
Your driving licence?
Yes, while I was there, here I am, the way I am, the girl had to embarrass me in front of everyone and yell out, Mister. Now, you know, if you're getting that in government places, Mister, you know, where do you draw the lines? And I don't think I look like a Mister.
No. Absolutely, I look more like a Mister than you.
So, but yes.
Lovely cleavage,
So you're going to say something?
I was thinking, surely this is a discrimination thing. And
Well,
aren't we protected?
Well, one would think.
Yes, but unfortunately with transgender, there's still not that issue where they don't have any rights at the moment.
It's not
still
stated
yeah,
anywhere.
it's still going through. It's
Doesn't
all right
exist.
for a gay man or a lesbian woman, but not for transgender. There's still no rights there for them.
Right. I was thinking that it says no sexual discrimination or no discrimination on the basis of sex. Oh, I see, and gender.
Yes,
Do you think
Yeah,
that...
yeah.
It's one of... Oh, so you go.
No, no, you.
Thank you, Gillian. You're actually not caring side. Do you think it's like people have just come to terms with the fact that there are gays and lesbians out there? Now it's this whole thing of, oh my God, there are people, you know, that used to be men that are now women.
Because I look at, you know, like there's like lay girls, there's a number of different places that tour around with shows and all that, and they see them, so it's not as if it's
But that's that
But
whole
as
sort
you
of whole
say,
party thing.
the
It's like,
entertainment
aren't
thing,
they
isn't it?
exotic?
Like
And
Yeah, it's always that. But, you know, there are some people that don't do that sort of thing, that want to have the, as they say, the normal life. They want to fit in with society. Well, how can you fit in with society if society won't let you fit in?
No, that's right.
Well, that's huge. But, I mean, we've had lots of sort of sexism stories this week, haven't we?
extremely. I found everything in the paper. There's the Spain's only professional woman bullfighter she resigned this week because basically she just couldn't stand the male chauvinist pigs that she had to work with. Males would refuse to work on the same, I guess, bill as her. They just wouldn't do it. Yeah. So she just said, I've had enough.
Because it was always a huge male honour.
Oh, extremely much so. And like they just kept on calling her weak. In France, prominent... That's full of bull, don't you think? Thank you, EP.
Thanks, Steve.
He's on the ball. I've had 5 red cordials and I haven't even thought of that. And also in France, all prominent French women, a group of prominent French women have started a group called, excuse my French, Chien de Garde.
Chien
Chien de Garde, which translates as guard bitches, to stop the tradition of men basically calling women who have made it in public life bitches and whores, basically. You know, the whole thing of if they've made it to the top, they've either slept with someone or they're a big bitch. And then, of course, there's the hairdresser thing. The woman
Yeah. Well, I think
the hairdresser
the
thing. Sorry.
The hairdresser thing is that, is that basically... And not only that, when we buy a car, we're treated like idiots, aren't we? We don't know what
Exactly.
all big age, surely. So,
I think we're running fast out of time.
well, we are.
time
We're
already?
really next week, Halloween. Woo! Very scary.
Halloween.
I'm not going to be here. That's scary enough. Let's face it. Thank you so much, Robert.
Yes, thank you.
Peter, Luke, and Rhea. Good luck with getting a job,
Yes,
and somebody out there to do lots. And for our lovely guests who've been here, Miss Penelope, John Fowler, and that was it, wasn't it?
It was.
Good